Welcome to another edition of Local Rock Stars, and today I'm with Trummie Patrick, local State Farm agent in Roswell. Trummie's one of the top State Farm agents in the country. He's made the President's Club, which is their top club. If you make it for 5 years in a row, you get to be a lifetime member. And so Trummie's been doing the insurance business for 40-something years now, and so he's kind enough to let me be here with him today. Thank you, Trummie. I wanna kind of start off with, if somebody was opening up a local business in town, in Roswell or Alpharetta, and they were selling something like mortgages or insurance, professional sales kind of thing, what would be your advice to them? What would you say, hey man, here's a few things that I really think you need to do? What would you suggest?
Well, I think probably one of the first things would, by the way, I'm not so sure I'm a rock star, okay?
I think anyway, you are in my mind.
Thank you. Well, I would do kind of what I've done is to get as active in the community as you possibly can. I've been in, as you well know, the Rotary Club. I'm active in the church. And I hadn't spent a whole lot of time. I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for 45 years, and just try to get to meet as many people as you can.
So when you meet them, what do you do with it after that?
Well, it's been my experience that the people in, say, mortgage business have helped me, and people in real estate business, and you get to know these people, and you get their business, and then when they get trusting you, and then feeling good, they'll refer their friends, and a lot of times you don't even have to ask. And
so how would you build that relationship when you were early on, or as now when you meet somebody? If I introduce you to somebody and you think you need to build a relationship with them, how do you go about doing that?
Well, first of all, I do a little bit of what you've done. You've been excellent at doing is try to find out what they need that I can help them with. And
so you listen for that in the conversation.
Exactly.
You try to go find a way to help them.
And then you just got to get to know them. You got to go to lunch. You got to go meet them for a drink after work or whatever, and then get to know these people that you have picked out that you think that can, or that I thought that could do me the most good.
Okay, then when do you decide that maybe that person doesn't want a relationship with me?
Well, you get that feeling pretty quick.
Okay, so you kind of sense
it. You just know. You know.
Kind of like if you're dating somebody and they don't call you back, right?
That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of, but, people, in all my time of doing this, I don't know of one person that I could say didn't want to help me after we got to know each other, Yeah. By and large, it's been a...
All right, so what about if somebody was new coming in the insurance business, what are the things that you've done that you would say, man, I really want you to think about focusing on these things?
Well, this business has changed and is changing at light speed, and some of the things that I used and did back in my day probably I still think would work today.
Yeah.
But then there's all these other things like internet leads.
So do you do that?
I do.
So how do you handle that? Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, we buy internet leads from these approved vendors, and what it is people that are shopping will go on the internet and ask for a quote. And then my people pick it up from here and shoot them a quote and try to get them on the phone if we can. But most of them don't want to talk on the phone.
Is that a big deal in converting that lead, getting that phone, getting that one-on-one conversation?
It is a big deal. And most of these people are not going to ever be your centers of influence. They just not. They want a quote. They want the lowest quote. And then the problem you got with that is next year they're going to get another quote. And there's always somebody out there that can beat my rate. There's nobody out there that can beat my service. But then they don't know that. And so consequently, you can get up to some high numbers, but it doesn't stick like it used to.
So why do you do it?
You do it because that's just the way it is.
Does it pay? Is it long term?
Oh yeah, it's good.
So there's enough there.
Yeah.
to offset the cost of buying the leads and having somebody call them and that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Okay.
You got about 50% of them that'll stay, and the other 50 will probably go.
Do you do anything that once you've got that person, that internet lead in the house, so to speak, do you do anything to try to develop a relationship with them?
We do. We if we can't get them on the phone, then we email them what we have to offer.
Okay.
In the way of product and service, and just ask them, can we quote your homeowners, or can we quote you life insurance, or whatever it might be. But that's kind of, I don't do a lot of that with the internet leads, because I'm just old school, and I believe that referrals are better.
All right, so what else would you tell a new person? So you tell them to do some internet leads. That'll help them get going, talking, and learning how to have that conversation, I guess, right? What else would you tell them to do?
Well, you gotta get a work ethic to stick with it. And you gotta, this job, if they take on the job of an agent, there is no 9 to 5. It's can to cane. And if somebody will meet you at 8 o'clock at night, then you meet them at 8 o'clock at night. You got to do what you got to do. And I drove to Griffin one time to get a driving rainstorm to get a guy to sign a life insurance application. That's just what I had to do.
And you still do that?
I would still do that.
That's awesome.
I just had a lady just a few minutes ago ask me if I worked on Saturday, and I said, no, ma'am. Because of Georgia football, I've never opened. I started August 1, and I was opening on Saturday morning, and football season came along. I never have opened on Saturday morning since. But I will meet anybody anytime for an appointment. If they want to come in on Saturday, I'll be here.
I got you. So you're not open per se, but you're available.
Available, yeah.
Okay, and then what else would you tell them to do? What are the other things you think about that these young agents need to know?
Well, being, like I said before, active in the community. I do a lot of remembrance type advertising.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, pins, screwdrivers, Post-it.
Like this one you just gave me?
Like that one I just gave you. That shipment just came in this morning.
So what do they call that? Logo merchandising or stuff like that?
Remembrance advertising.
Remembrance advertising. Okay.
So I'll tell you a little quick story.
Okay.
So, the Iron Skillet was downtown. Yeah. And the same group of guys, old timers mainly, Roswell, met there for breakfast every morning. And then one morning the conversation got around to going to the moon. And so Hal Coleman was sitting there, Milton Crabapple, as you know. He said, well, I don't know how it would be up there, but I guarantee the first thing you saw when you landed on the moon would be something with Trummie Patrick's name on it. That was when I knew it was working. So I give that out. I give them out. I put remembrance advertising in every golf tournament bag that there is, and I leave my pins at restaurants from time to time, and just wherever I can get it going.
So it works for you.
Yeah.
All right. So, how do you plan your day as far as, because we all get into our day and we get in there and the phone's ringing, we're putting out fires and people in the office and you got emails and stuff. But how do you mesh all that with also finding out like who you're going to talk to today, who you're going to prospect with, or what are you going to do? How do you kind of create your day so that it's not a wasted day?
That's a good question. We try to be proactive and not reactive.
Okay.
And in this business, it is so easy to be just reactive because that phone over there is going to ring somewhere between 75 and 125 times a day. And so you can get tied up for 10 minutes or 30 minutes. So you have to get ahead of that. Mm-hmm. And one way we do it is every morning we have a team meeting in here, and we go over different lists that we want to look at. We may want to work on calling people that we have insured just their cars and not their homeowners, and we want to call them about their homeowners. or vice versa. We have the homeowners and not the cars. We got State Farm has come up with we get lists from them that show people that have a propensity to buy, say, refinance a vehicle, or have a propensity to buy life insurance, whatever. And then we go off of those lists and we call people. And we sometimes I've got the camera set up over there. We do role play, and then I'll play it back on the television. Let them see it.
So
then we critique each other on what could have been better, and then we also those meetings I ask people, my people, to follow up on these lists.
So how do you just set the agenda? How do you decide what you're going to do for tomorrow? I mean, how do you decide if I'm going to call auto people tomorrow, life people tomorrow? How do you decide that at the meeting?
Well, okay, so it doesn't change every day because it takes a while to call those lists. So we just decide it may take 2 weeks to call one set of lists, and then we got the internet leads coming in, and those. So when an internet lead comes in, they immediately get a response from State Farm saying, We got your email, and we'll be in touch with you very soon.
Very soon.
And then my team member will just have to stop what they're doing and call that internet lead, because that's where, or to do a quote and send it to them, because that's a live. I mean, that's live. That's not reacting. That's proactive right there.
Okay. So how do you decide who to hire? Is that one of your toughest challenges?
That is the toughest challenge, and every State Farm agent has the same challenges, finding good people. I've really been fortunate in my career. I've had 3 people who have been with me over 30 years and have now retired. But I use Career Plug. I put the word out in the community that I'm looking for salespeople. I have a caption on my email that says, if you're interested in an opportunity, please give me a call. And so you just have to try to, and then when somebody comes in, they have to pass the state insurance exams. There's a property and casualty exam and a life and health exam. And they have to pass those exams, and before I will hire anybody, they have to be licensed with the state. And once they on the first interview, I will give them the Wonderlic test, and then I have a personality profile company set up that I they'll send them a test by email, and they test it out to see what their personality, which way it goes. I mean, is it a sales personality? Is it
and it's based on that test, kind of generic sales personality?
It is, and it's pretty accurate. So
you go by that. If they don't pass that test, then you don't.
If they don't score pretty high on it, I have to move on.
I got you.
Because you got to have somebody who wants to talk to people, who's outgoing, and people. I mean, it's not rocket science, but you gotta want to help people, and you gotta have somebody that's just got that personality. You know it. You got it. So,
what drives you? What keeps you going? I mean, you're still doing it. You could have retired. What's driving you?
That's another good question. I love what I do. I mean, all I do every day is help people, and that's what I just
and that's
love
the way
doing
you see it.
That's the way I see it.
And
what we do is try to protect the people from the unexpected. Oh, that's what we do. So I just I don't work as hard today as I did the first 25, 30 years, but I'm still I'm here every day if I'm not out hunting.
So how do you decide who you're going to talk to today? How do you decide that if you're going to make phone calls or emails when you're thinking about your business?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Right now, we sell a Medicare supplement plan, So anybody turning 65 and going on Medicare, they need a Medicare supplement plan because there's some gaps in there. So what I've done is told my main receptionist that what I want her to do is print off everybody turning 65 in March, for example, and I'm gonna call them myself. And so
that'd be how many people roughly?
Well, I had it's somewhere between 8 and 10 probably.
So that would be on your list because you know it could be important to them to know about that, and you feel like you need to make that.
I need to tell because they know nothing about what they got, what's covered, and what's not. And all of a sudden they gotta, for example, if they're they turn 65, they need to, they've got to get Medicare, and if they're still staying on a group plan of some kind or not retiring, then they don't need a Medicare supplement right now, but they need to buy Part A, or not buy it, but apply for Part A of Medicare.
Gotcha.
So
you want to let them know about that because you see that you're helping them with that. So your products.
You may be on my list in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure.
So anything else you do? So that's 8 or 10 calls a day.
So yeah, and then the other thing is any major problems, and every business has them. I get them.
The major ones.
The major ones. So I'm pretty responsible for, when somebody gets sideways with us, that's when I need to step in and
straighten it back out.
Straighten it back out. That's right.
Okay.
It don't happen a lot, but it happens.
So do you do the things like send out birthday cards or Christmas cards or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I don't. I send out calendars, and I send out at Christmas Norman Rockwell calendars, and I send out the return address labels with their name and address. People love those things.
They do.
I send those out every year. I've never gotten started sending birthday cards because once you start it, you can't stop it. And I tell you what I did do though. One year I made up my mind I was going to call every client on their birthday. That would turn out to be way too much. I mean, sometimes I'd have 15, 18 people to call and tell them happy birthday, and inevitably they want to talk about some more.
How many customers do you have?
I got a little over 5,000.
5,000. So, Trummie, tell me how important you think product knowledge is, because especially when you're a young person starting out or you're new in a certain industry, you don't have real strong product knowledge, and I'm looking at somebody like you that's been doing it, and it kind of makes me feel inferior. What do you think about product knowledge? How would you talk to somebody that's kind of new in the business about product knowledge? What's your thought?
In this business, you gotta have it. It's not an option. I mean, you gotta know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you gotta be right. And so every morning for 30 minutes, I assign a different team member a different product, and we wear it out. We go over that product. We'll get on, I get them to find out everything they can about it, and to try to cover it. Sometimes it takes a week to cover one product, but we've got, for example, a homeowner policy, and then all the endorsements and everything that's available for it, and then we'll talk about.
As a team, you do that. They report back and to get the whole team up to speed.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. We spend time, and then we have. There's a lot of product knowledge that is before anybody can start. They have to be. Once they get licensed with the state, then they got to get licensed with State Farm. And in order to get licensed with State Farm, you got to spend about a week on the computer with their product knowledge, learning what
coming
they
up
got.
To snuff.
But then that ain't enough. You still got to hammer the product knowledge. And I tell you that even today, every now and then something will come up that I don't know the answer to.
Is that part of kind of being a pro at what you do, is to understand that you don't know some things?
Well, you got to have that. You got to
say, let me get back with you on that. Or?
Yeah. So now got to tell you, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I know, but I want to be real sure I know.
Gotcha.
And that's crucial. And it's amazing, these young folks, as they gain product knowledge, how much more self-assured they are.
So
they can really just talk the
self-esteem.
talk. And in order to talk, you can't not know what you're talking about. And the client picks up on it. So you got to know.
What, I'm big on how you talk to yourself, how you think, how you handle your thoughts. I believe that that's critical in moving you in a direction. Do you ever have what I call self-talk? Do you try to, when you're trying to prospect somebody or you're trying to handle a customer, are there certain things that you say or certain things that come to your mind when you're dealing with any of that? Have you ever thought about that?
I don't know that I've consciously thought about it. I mean, you go in with your best shot, and one thing I've stressed my whole career is being positive and have a positive attitude.
You think about that a lot?
I think
say
about it
that
all
to
the
yourself
time.
a lot?
I say it to myself. I say it to my grandkids. I say it to everybody.
So what do you say to yourself when you're thinking about growing the business to be, when you're early days and you wanted to be a player, so to speak, what do you remember? What kind of drove you or how you talked to yourself to do that?
Well, for one thing, State Farm was not paying me enough to eat. And so I
drove you?
When I left I had a job with American Can, and I was making good money. They were paying me like $28,000 a year with a company car and all this expense account. I came to State Farm with no car, and they were paying me $7,500 a year. And anyway, I just never looked back. I left State Farm.
You
American
said, I'm
Can.
going to do this?
I said, I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to be the best there is. And
so did you say that to yourself a lot? Did you re-encourage yourself that I'm going to be successful?
You have to. You just got to keep that attitude positive and go out and get everything that you can get.
Do you find yourself saying certain things to your grandchildren or your children, certain phrases or things that come up?
Yeah.
What, like, you have anything you think of, you remember?
Oh, man, I got a bunch of them, but, it's kind of hard to
On the spot.
come up on the spot. I can't think of it.
But do you think that's important, how you talk to yourself and how you think about yourself?
I do think it's important.
How important would you say that is?
I think it's probably crucial. You got to keep those thoughts in your mind positive, and you got to just continually think that about being successful.
Do you find that people that have worked for you, some of them have a better conversation with themselves than others, and that separates who kind of moves ahead of the pack and who doesn't? You ever thought about that?
I did. There's those that will move above. Break out of the pack and be that leader. And they got to have some sort of their thought process has got to be, a little bit different than the others.
Okay. Well, that kind of concludes our time with local rock star Trummie Patrick. Even though you don't think he's a local rock star, but I think he is, and he's been a mentor for me and a good personal friend. And if you're in the market for insurance, I hope you'll give Trummie a call. His office is in Roswell. So. Thank you so much for being in and joining with us.
That number is 770-993-0020.
Awesome.
Good.